The dragon hatchling was smaller than anyone had expected. Its scales were pale, almost translucent, and its wings were folded too tightly against its thin body. The air in the medical chamber smelled of ozone and heated metal, and alarms blinked across the walls. Alien medics from many species leaned over the incubator, their long fingers and multi-jointed arms moving quickly but nervously. They whispered to each other in strange languages, full of worry and disbelief. One by one they shook their heads. "This one will not survive," said a tall, silver-skinned alien with eyes like glass. His voice was calm, almost bored, but underneath there was fear. Another, a creature with feathers instead of skin, chirped in agreement. "It is too weak. The fire core is failing. We cannot stabilize it." The dragon mother hovered nearby, her massive wings tucked in. She let out low, trembling roars. Her golden eyes were wide with fear, and she glanced at the medics, then back to the fragile form of her child. Around them, the chamber buzzed with machines designed to heal, stabilize, and record. Lights blinked and screens showed numbers and graphs, but the numbers were falling fast. Arlen Crow stood to the side, leaning on the railing of the observation deck. He was human, one of the few species not born to fight or breathe fire in this room. Humans were often underestimated in galactic hospitals, especially when dragons were involved. He had come to observe as the council had allowed, but now he felt a tug in his chest he could not ignore. The medics continued their work, adjusting syringes, turning dials, scanning the hatchling's tiny body. But every movement seemed too harsh, too fast. The dragon newborn's chest heaved weakly and one tiny claw twitched. Arlen frowned. He stepped forward. The other medics glanced at him, surprised. "Sir Crow," the feathered alien hissed, "this is no place for a human. Step back." "I know," Arlen said softly, "but I see something you don't. The hatchling is still trying." The silver alien laughed, but it was hollow. "Trying? Its heartbeat is barely there. It will not make it." Arlen looked at the tiny dragon. Its scales shimmered faintly under the chamber lights and its little wings flexed. He noticed the shallow rise of its chest, the way its tail twitched. Every small motion was a statement. It wanted to live. "I need a moment," Arlen said. He moved closer, ignoring the protests from the alien medics. "Just a minute." The medics exchanged worried glances. The dragon mother hissed softly, a warning to her child, then to the humans and aliens alike. Arlen reached out, carefully sliding a hand close to the hatchling. He did not touch yet. He only observed. He could feel the faint warmth, the soft tremor of life that almost no one else noticed. "Humans," the silver alien said, "you think your instincts matter? You think you can save a creature your species barely understands?" Arlen did not answer. He watched. He had spent years with sick animals on faraway planets, creatures that others gave up on. The key he had learned was patience and attention. Machines could show numbers, but they could not measure hope. Machines could measure temperature and pulse, but they could not measure will to live. The hatchling made a soft squeak, almost a sound of protest. Its tiny wings twitched. Its claws curled around the edge of the incubator. It was fragile. It was failing. But it was alive. Arlen gently lowered his hand until his fingers hovered just above the scales. He did not grab or hold. He just stayed near, letting the warmth of his presence reach the dragon. Slowly the hatchling's trembling eased just slightly. Its chest lifted a little more strongly and its eyes flickered. A faint light glowed in them, like embers waiting for wind. The alien medics murmured, shocked. "How?" one asked. Arlen ignored them. "It just needs someone to stay with it," he said quietly. "It needs patience, not machines, not formulas, just care." The dragon mother's golden eyes softened. She leaned closer, curling around the tiny hatchling protectively. She seemed to sense that the human meant no harm, that he might be the only one willing to try. Minutes passed, though they felt like hours. Arlen adjusted the small oxygen tubes, monitored temperature, and kept his voice low. He spoke to the hatchling softly, telling it to hold on, to breathe, to try. Words were strange to dragon ears, but the tone mattered. The hatchling twitched, and then it did something small but remarkable. It reached one tiny claw toward him. The alien medics gasped. No dragon newborn had ever done this so early. The silver alien frowned, unable to explain it. "This cannot be happening," he muttered. Arlen smiled faintly. He kept his hand near the dragon, patient and calm. "It is happening because it wants to live," he said. "Because we don't give up when hope is there." The hatchling's chest rose more steadily. Its wings flexed. Not much, but enough to show it was fighting. The mother nuzzled it gently, and a quiet hum of energy filled the chamber. For the first time the alien medic stepped back. They watched instead of acted. The human did not have the tools they had, the knowledge they had, but he had something they had forgotten: persistence, attention, and care. Arlen stayed there, hands poised, voice calm, heart steady. The hatchling's eyes locked on him, and he knew this tiny creature had not given up. And neither would he. The chamber fell silent, the only sounds the soft hum of machines and the fragile breathing of a dragon that should have been gone. Arlen did not think of recognition, medals, or fame. He thought only of life, of the small heartbeat under his careful watch. He thought of the future this hatchling could have. For now, in this cold, high-tech medical station, one human refused to quit. And in that refusal, a tiny spark of hope began to glow. Arlen Crow stayed close to the dragon hatchling, refusing to leave even when the alien medics grumbled. Their voices were sharp, full of frustration. "It is a waste of time," the silver-skinned one said. "We have tried everything. This human cannot change that." Arlen only nodded slightly. He knew he had nothing to prove to them. Machines could measure numbers, charts, and graphs, but they could not measure care. He had learned that on frontier worlds, long before he ever came to the Dragon Station. Care meant patience. Care meant watching every small twitch, every tiny breath. Care meant listening not just to the body but to the life inside. He studied the hatchling carefully. Its wings were thin, almost transparent, and its fire core, the small energy center inside its chest, glowed faintly. It pulsed irregularly, weak like a dying ember. Most alien medics would have tried to force it awake with energy injections or chemicals. Arlen knew those would likely kill it. He chose a different way. First, he adjusted the warmth of the incubator. Not too hot, not too cold, just enough to match the dragon's natural needs. He placed a small, soft pad under its body. Not a machine, not a scanner, just a simple cushion to support fragile bones and tiny muscles. Then he sat beside the incubator, placing a hand near the hatchling without touching it. "Shoo," he whispered. "You're safe. Just breathe. Just try." The hatchling's chest rose faintly. Its tail twitched. Its little eyes flickered. Slowly, a soft glow spread in its scales, a warmth that machines could not measure. The alien medics leaned over, watching with curiosity. One of them hissed, "How is this possible?" Arlen did not answer. He adjusted a tiny oxygen tube, watching the hatchling's breathing carefully. Then he did something most alien medics would never think of. He touched its wing lightly. Just a fingertip on the delicate skin. The hatchling trembled but did not pull away. It was a small sign, but to Arlen, it meant the world. He began to hum quietly, a human habit he had learned calms animals. The sound was low, steady like a heartbeat. The hatchling's small wings twitched in rhythm. Its claws flexed. Every small motion meant it wanted to survive. The alien medics whispered among themselves. "He is doing nothing we know," said the feathered one. Yet the hatchling responds. Arlen glanced at them without anger. "It's not nothing," he said softly. "It's care. It's patience. It's understanding." He did not rely on machines alone. He did not follow charts or graphs. He followed the hatchling. When it gasped for air, he adjusted the tubes. When it twitched, he moved the pad to support it. When it cried softly, he whispered words of comfort. Simple things, yet powerful. Hours passed, though no one noticed. The chamber's alarms continued to blink, but the hatchling's small pulses began to stabilize. Its fire core glowed brighter, just enough to show life. The mother dragon leaned closer, sensing the change. She let out a soft hum, a sound of relief and gratitude. Arlen worked without rest, never forcing, never pushing. He remembered every sick animal he had saved back on remote planets, creatures others had declared hopeless. They had all survived because someone refused to give up. The same was happening here. A small miracle happened. The hatchling lifted its head slightly, blinking at him. Its tiny mouth opened and a faint puff of smoke escaped. Not fire, not dangerous, just a tiny breath of life. The alien medics froze. None had ever seen a dragon newborn survive this early without advanced interventions. And yet here it was. The feathered alien whispered almost to itself, "He is helping it." Arlen smiled faintly, exhausted but determined. He adjusted the wing pad, supporting the fragile structure. He kept his hand near the hatchling, letting warmth flow from him. The dragon's biology was ancient and complex, but life was life. It responded to care, to attention, to patience. The mother dragon pressed closer, letting Arlen's presence be part of her child's safety. For a long moment, the chamber was quiet. Not the silence of machines but the silence of attention. Every being in the room watched, unsure whether to move, unsure whether to speak. Even the most advanced medics could not argue with the small signs of life growing stronger. Arlen spoke softly again. "It is okay. You are safe. You can do this." The hatchling stretched one wing slightly, then the other. Its claws gripped the pad firmly, tiny sparks of strength flowing through its thin body. The warmth from Arlen's hand seemed to encourage the movement. Slowly the fire core glowed more steadily, not bright but steady. The alien medics leaned back, amazed. Their charts and scanners had failed, but this human had succeeded with simplicity and patience. They whispered in disbelief. The silver-skinned one muttered, "Perhaps, care matters more than science." Arlen ignored them. He was not doing this for praise. He was doing it because the hatchling deserved a chance. He adjusted the oxygen flow again, watched its breathing, and kept his voice low and calm. The hatchling's eyes blinked, and its tiny head turned toward him. It recognized him, and in that recognition, Arlen saw something remarkable: trust. Even among dragons, trust was not given lightly. And this tiny creature had chosen him as its guardian. Arlen's heart tightened. He knew the road ahead would be difficult, but for the first time he felt hope. Minutes later, a faint warmth rose from the hatchling. Its tiny wings flexed again. Its fire core pulsed with steady strength. The mother dragon gave a soft hum of approval. The alien medics whispered again, this time with a rather than criticism. Arlen Crow did not celebrate. He only continued his work, adjusting, supporting, watching. He knew this was only the beginning. But in his calm, steady care, he had shown something remarkable. That sometimes the human way, simple, patient, compassionate, could succeed where machines and complex science could not. And in that quiet, small chamber, surrounded by skeptical eyes and advanced technology, a fragile dragon newborn began to live again. And it would not forget the human who refused to quit. The chamber was unusually quiet. Even the hum of the life support machines seemed softer, as if the entire station was holding its breath. Alien medics leaned against walls or hovered near the observation deck, eyes fixed on the tiny dragon hatchling and the human who refused to leave its side. Arlen Crow sat on a small stool beside the incubator. His hands rested lightly on the soft pad under the dragon, ready to act at the first sign of trouble. The hatchling's chest rose slowly, steadily, a rhythm that had been almost lost hours ago. Its wings twitched gently and tiny sparks of warmth glowed along its scales. The mother dragon watched silently, her massive head resting near the edge of the incubator. Her golden eyes never left the hatchling, but she seemed calmer than she had been in the past cycles. No one spoke for a long moment. The alien medics had tried every tool, every method known to their species, and all had failed. Yet here, with only a human and a few simple tools, the hatchling lived. The silence of disbelief hung heavy in the room. The silver-skinned alien, the one who had dismissed Arlen earlier, finally spoke in a low voice. "This cannot be happening. How is it still alive?" Arlen did not answer. He kept his eyes on the hatchling. "It is alive because someone is paying attention," he said quietly. "Because someone refuses to give up. Because life is worth fighting for." The feathered alien hissed softly. "But humans, you have no experience with dragons. No knowledge of their fire cores, their biology. You should not be able to do this." Arlen smiled faintly, though he was tired. "Experience comes in many forms. I know how to care for life no matter the species. That is what matters here." The hatchling made a small squeak and stretched its wings slightly. It had not done this in hours. The room seemed to grow stiller, if that were possible. The other aliens watched, fascinated, almost afraid to breathe. The human's calm presence seemed to affect the hatchling in a way no machine or medicine could. Arlen adjusted the soft pad under the hatchling's wings. He moved slowly, deliberately, always observing its reactions. Every twitch of a claw, every flutter of a wing, every faint pulse of warmth was a signal. He responded to each one, carefully, gently. The hatchling's tiny head turned toward him, its eyes half open, as if it recognized him as a safe place. The mother dragon leaned closer. Her nostrils flared, sensing the warmth and care Arlen provided. She did not speak, for dragons rarely did in moments of tension, but the soft hum she made vibrated through the chamber. Even the alien medics paused to listen, their skepticism replaced by a strange curiosity. Arlen whispered softly to the hatchling. "It's okay. You can rest. You are safe. I am here." His voice was calm, steady, full of reassurance. The hatchling's chest rose a little faster, and the warmth along its scales increased slightly. The silver-skinned alien shook his head. "It is not possible. Nothing we know could make this happen." Perhaps humans are different. Arlen looked up at him. We are different, he admitted. But not in ways you think. We care. We notice the small things. We do not give up. The hatchling flexed its wings again, this time more strongly. A faint flicker of fire escaped its tiny mouth, harmless but real. The alien medics gasped. The silver-skinned one blinked, unable to hide his shock. The feathered alien muttered, "It breathes fire, barely, but it does." And the human, he caused this. Arlen kept his hand near the hatchling, offering warmth without pressure. "It is not me," he said softly. "It is life itself. It wants to live and I am just helping it." Minutes stretched into hours. The alien medics hovered at the edges, watching every movement. Some of them whispered, trying to explain what they saw. Others simply stared, unable to believe the sight. The station itself seemed to pause, as though the unusual event had drawn the attention of every living being aboard. The hatchling twitched, then lifted its head fully. Its eyes opened wide, showing deep amber color, the first clear gaze since its birth. It let out a small squeal, and the warmth along its tiny wings grew brighter. The mother dragon exhaled slowly, a sound of relief and gratitude. Even the aliens felt it, a sense of wonder that crossed species boundaries. Arlen adjusted the oxygen flow slightly, keeping it steady. He touched the hatchling's wing very lightly, just enough to provide support. The hatchling did not resist, it seemed to relax under his care. Slowly, its chest rose more evenly, its tiny claws gripped the soft pad with more strength, and its tail twitched rhythmically. The alien medics whispered among themselves, voices low and hesitant. "He does not follow our methods," said the silver-skinned one. "And yet, the hatchling improves." The feathered alien nodded slowly. "Perhaps, there is something to this human way. Something we do not understand." Arlen smiled faintly but remained focused. He did not need their praise. His attention was on the hatchling, on the small signs of life that most others missed. Every twitch, every breath, every flicker of warmth mattered. The mother dragon shifted slightly, nudging the hatchling closer to Arlen's side of the incubator. She did not speak, but her gesture was clear. She trusted him. The hatchling responded with a weak but determined movement, curling closer to Arlen's hand. The chamber remained quiet. Not because there was no noise, but because everyone present understood something rare and important was happening. Life was winning, not through technology, not through advanced science, but through care, attention, and refusal to give up. Arlen whispered again, "It's okay. You are safe. You are alive." The hatchling's wings twitched stronger, its chest rose steadily, and its fire core glowed brighter. For the first time since birth, the tiny dragon seemed almost confident in its own strength. The mother dragon's hum filled the chamber once more, soft but full of emotion. And in that quiet, tense chamber, surrounded by aliens who had watched and doubted, a human proved something remarkable. That life could be nurtured back from the edge, not through power, not through technology, but through patience, attention, and care. The station remained still, every eye watching, every mind learning. Arlen did not look for praise. He only kept his hand near the hatchling, calm and steady, ready for whatever came next. The hatchling, fragile but alive, responded with trust. And in that trust, the station saw something it had rarely seen: hope. The chamber was filled with a tense stillness. Even the machines seemed quieter, as though they too were waiting. The dragon hatchling lay on the soft pad, tiny chest rising and falling steadily under Arlen Crow's watchful hand. Its wings, once frail and twitching barely, now flexed gently, showing small but real strength. The warmth along its scales had increased, a faint glow that no machine could fully measure. Arlen's eyes were fixed on the hatchling. He had been beside it for hours, observing, adjusting, speaking softly, and giving it the simple human care that had kept it alive when everyone else had given up. He had no magic, no advanced alien medicine, only patience, attention, and warmth. And slowly the hatchling had begun to respond. The mother dragon hovered above, her golden eyes wide with a mixture of hope and fear. She had watched the newborn struggle and watched others fail. But now she seemed almost cautious, waiting to see what the human would do next. Around the room, alien medics stood silently, unsure whether to move or speak. Their complex devices, their charts, their treatments had all failed. They were witnessing something they had never expected. The hatchling twitched and lifted its tiny head. Its amber eyes opened fully, focusing on Arlen. A faint sound escaped its mouth, a squeak, small and tentative, but it carried determination. The mother dragon's low hum of encouragement resonated through the chamber. Arlen leaned closer, speaking softly, "It's okay. You're safe. You can do this. He could feel the tiny pulse of life under his hand, the weak but steady rhythm of its fire core. The energy inside the hatchling had grown stronger over the hours, responding to warmth, calmness, and care. Arlen knew that the next moment would be critical. The dragon needed confidence, a spark of courage to ignite the fire within itself. The hatchling stretched its tiny wings fully for the first time. Its claws dug gently into the soft pad. It let out a squeal that grew slightly stronger. Its little chest puffed as it flexed its body. Arlen whispered words of encouragement, keeping his voice low and calm. He did not rush it. He knew that forcing the fire could harm the delicate creature. Instead, he offered patience and reassurance. A faint flicker of heat rose from its mouth. At first, it was barely noticeable, a tiny spark that drifted upward. The alien medics gasped. Some covered their mouths in disbelief. The silver-skinned one stepped back, eyes wide. Impossible, he muttered. It should not breathe fire yet. The feathered alien tilted its head, watching carefully. It is responding to the human, it said almost in awe. Arlen did not look at them. His attention remained entirely on the hatchling. Yes, he whispered softly. You can do it. You are strong. You are alive. Breathe fire gently. Show your strength. The hatchling's chest rose and fell more confidently. A small plume of fire escaped its mouth, weak but steady. It did not burn, did not harm the pad or the incubator. Instead, it glowed warmly, filling the small space with soft light. The mother dragon emitted a low, vibrating hum, a sound of approval and relief. The alien medics leaned forward cautiously as though afraid to interfere. The silver-skinned one shook his head, whispering, "All our treatments failed, and yet this human succeeded." The hatchling's eyes flickered with amber light, reflecting the soft warmth of the small flame. It stretched its wings again, slightly stronger this time, and the tiny fire grew brighter. Arlen moved his hand gently near the hatchling's head, providing comfort without pressure. The dragon responded, pulsing warmth along its scales. 4 hours, Arlen had guided the hatchling with simple care, soft words, and constant attention. Now, for the first time, the hatchling seemed to understand that it could survive. It flexed its wings fully, lifted its head, and let out a slightly stronger breath of fire. The glow spread across its body in small patches, flickering like sunlight through water. The mother dragon's hum became louder, more vibrant, almost a song of pride. The alien medics whispered among themselves, still stunned. It lives, said the feathered alien. It is alive, and breathing fire. Arlen smiled faintly but did not speak. He kept his focus on the hatchling, allowing it to grow confident in its own strength. He adjusted the pad, making sure its claws had support. He kept his hand close, not touching unless necessary, letting warmth and calm fill the space between them. The hatchling flexed its wings once more. A small flame flickered again from its mouth, stronger than before. Its chest rose steadily and its tail twitched rhythmically. It looked at Arlen with wide, trusting eyes. For the first time, the tiny dragon seemed to understand that it could survive. The mother dragon lowered her massive head to the hatchling, nudging it gently. The hatchling responded with a small roar of its own, a sound of courage and life. The chamber seemed to hold its breath, witnessing a moment few would ever forget. Arlen whispered softly, "You did it. You are strong. You are alive." The alien medics stepped back, their charts and machines useless in the face of something so simple yet profound. Their knowledge and technology could not explain what had happened, but they could see the result. Life had won not through force but through care, patience, and attention. The hatchling's fire grew steadier, no longer flickering weakly but pulsing with warmth. Its wings stretched fully, tiny claws gripping the pad. It looked at Arlen, then at its mother, then back at the human. The chamber was silent except for the hum of the mother dragon and the soft glow of the tiny flame. Arlen felt a quiet pride, not in himself but in the hatchling. It had fought, survived, and grown stronger because someone refused to give up. He had simply provided care and patience, allowing life to guide itself. In that chamber, surrounded by skeptical alien medics, a mother dragon and high-tech machines, a tiny dragon had breathed fire for the first time. And it had done so not because of technology, not because of science, but because a human had refused to walk away. And for the first time since its birth, the hatchling's life felt certain. The dragon hatchling was no longer weak. Its tiny wings stretched fully, its amber eyes bright and alive, and the soft warmth along its scales pulsed steadily. The fire core within it glowed stronger with every passing moment. The mother dragon hovered protectively above, her massive wings folded around her child like a shield. She hummed softly, a sound full of pride, relief, and gratitude. Arlen Crow sat nearby, exhausted but calm. His hands rested on the soft pad, ready to act if needed. He had been with the hatchling through every small breath, every twitch of a wing, every faint flicker of flame. Hours ago, the alien medics had declared the dragon hopeless. Now the same aliens watched in awe. The silver-skinned alien shook his head slowly. "I cannot believe it," he murmured. "All our methods failed. Our knowledge could not save it. And yet, it lives." The feathered alien nodded. "It is true. The human, he used nothing we know, and the hatchling survived. How is this possible?" Arlen looked at them, quietly tired. "It is simple," he said. "We notice life. We care for it. We do not give up when hope is still alive." The mother dragon's hum seemed to resonate with his words. She lowered her massive head and nudged the hatchling toward him. The hatchling responded immediately, moving closer to Arlen, curling near his hand as if it recognized him not just as a caretaker but as a protector. The aliens watched silently. They had always considered humans to be weak, fragile, and limited. They relied on machines, science, and rigid methods. Humans were unpredictable, emotional, and small. And yet, here was proof of something they had never fully understood. Humans fought for life because they believed it mattered. They refused to give up, even when all odds seemed hopeless. Arlen spoke softly to the hatchling. "You did it. You are alive. You are strong." The hatchling responded with a small roar and a flutter of wings. A tiny flame escaped its mouth, harmless but real. Its chest rose evenly. Its tail twitched. The mother dragon's hum grew louder, echoing throughout the chamber. The alien medics whispered among themselves. "Perhaps we misjudged humans," said the silver-skinned one. "They may not have strength or power like dragons, but their will, their persistence, is remarkable." The feathered alien nodded. "They care in ways we cannot measure. Machines, formulas, and advanced knowledge, they are nothing without attention and patience. This human proved it." Arlen smiled faintly. He did not need praise, but he understood. The galaxy had seen only parts of humanity: warriors, explorers, traders. Few had understood the simple, quiet strength humans carried. Their refusal to quit, their attention to life, their belief that even the smallest creature deserved a chance. The mother dragon lowered her head further, letting the hatchling nuzzle her chest. She then looked at Arlen, her golden eyes warm and filled with a silent thankfulness. She had lost hope once. She had watched others give up. And now she knew humans were different. They fought not for glory, not for recognition, but for the life in front of them. Arlen looked at the hatchling and then at the mother. "It is okay," he said softly. "You are both safe now. You will grow strong." Word of the event spread quickly across the station. Other species came to see the hatchling, amazed that it had survived. Some tried to analyze it, to understand the method, but nothing in their books explained it. There were no injections, no machines, no complex formulas that could account for the life they saw. It was simple: care, attention, and refusal to give up. The story of Arlen and the hatchling traveled faster than anyone could have imagined. Across planets and star systems, beings whispered about the human who had refused to leave a dying dragon behind. They spoke of his patience, his small gestures, his simple care that had revived life when all else failed. Some species were skeptical. Others were inspired. But all began to ask the same question: how could a creature so small, so fragile, so simple in appearance, achieve what their advanced science could not? The answer became clear over time. Humans did not measure life by strength, fire, or knowledge alone. They measured life by the effort to protect it, to nurture it, to refuse defeat even in hopeless moments. The hatchling grew stronger every day. Its wings stretched fully, its fire became steady, and its curiosity grew. The mother dragon allowed it to explore more of the chamber, always under her watchful eyes. And every time the hatchling glanced at Arlen, there was recognition, trust, and gratitude. Arlen continued his work quietly. He did not seek recognition or reward. For him, the hatchling's life was its own reward. He knew that humans had a strange gift: the ability to persist when all others give up, to fight for hope when hope seems gone. The alien medics slowly began to understand. Their methods and machines had value, but they had limits. Arlen's human approach, the attention, the patience, the refusal to quit, showed a strength beyond charts, graphs, or technology. It was raw, simple, and profoundly powerful. Across the galaxy, tales of humans like Arlen grew. Some were warriors, some were explorers, and some were quiet healers. But all shared a trait that could not be measured: a refusal to leave life behind. The dragon hatchling, once fragile and near death, became a symbol of that truth. It was proof that humans were more than weak bodies, they were resilient hearts. The mother dragon curled around the hatchling, then glanced at Arlen. In her golden eyes he saw understanding. Humans, small and fragile as they seemed, could change the fate of creatures far larger and stronger. One human's care had saved a life the galaxy had given up on. And in that truth the galaxy began to learn something new. Humans might lack the claws of a dragon, the scales of a beast, or the advanced science of alien civilizations. But when life mattered, humans would be the last to walk away. Arlen sat quietly, watching the hatchling explore its small world. He whispered softly, "You are alive. And you will grow. And I will be here if you need me." The hatchling squeaked, fluttering its wings in acknowledgement. The galaxy watched, learned, and slowly understood. Humans were not just survivors, they were caretakers, fighters for life itself. And one small dragon had become proof of that truth. Hope had survived. Life had survived. And humanity, once underestimated, had shown what it truly meant to refuse to quit.